One of the biggest and most important and potentially influential changes to Rise to War potentially ever, besides probably like this crazy new map that we're now playing on, is the Employment Hall. It's been out for a little while now. I've had time to mess around with it and figured that I knew enough to go ahead and, well, hopefully I know enough. I think I know enough to make a video and kind of explain everything about how it works to you guys. So hopefully that everybody can understand it better. I've gotten a ton of questions about it this season, so I figure that hopefully a guide will help. Let's get into it. The Employment Hall is one of many new fellowship structures, or whatever you want to call them, structures out on the map that fellowships and warbands can build, like the altar and the well. The Employment Hall can be built on a 2x2 resource tile. It does take up the tile and give it to the fellowship that owns it, just like a fortress. It sits wherever you put it. There are 3 levels to it. That is going to be an important thing to note here in a few minutes. So generally speaking, you're going to want to put this thing somewhere safe. That way it doesn't get blown up while people are trying to use it to recruit. So what does it do? It allows you to recruit neutral units. And what I mean by allows you to recruit neutral units is it allows everybody in your fellowship or warband to recruit any eligible unit from the employment hall. Now, I will say it's important to note that at level 3 employment hall, you can only recruit 60 command total per day. That's not 60 of each eligible unit, that is 60 total. So for example, if I was to hire 60 command worth of war drummers today, I could not hire anything else. Conversely, I could hire like 30 command of fell beasts and 30 command of war drummers. You get the picture. So you're probably going to want to pick neutral units that either take forever to recruit, like Mumas, or something that you don't need like 15,000 of, like war drummers. But the neutral units that you have in here are at least somewhat up to you. Let's talk about how to unlock those. The first way is for every level of your employment hall, and your employment hall can be leveled up through this boost system. So, once we hit a fellowship level 30, we will unlock our level 2 employment hall, and we can upgrade it to level 2, and then we'll get another invite. You get 1 invite per level. That allows the leader of the fellowship to pick any one hireable unit, no matter where they are on the map, whether or not you have control of the region or any keep or anything. Regardless of anything else, you can just pick 1 hireable unit per level of your fellowship hall to invite, and that immediately raises their cooperation from 0. This is a cooperation level right here. It immediately raises it from 0 to 1,000, and once it reaches 1,000, and anybody in your fellowship can hire them. The second way, and apparently somebody in my fellowship has recruited 26 commands of Mumakils, Miyuafa. So I don't know if he's going to watch this video, but if he does, I had no idea that this guy was recruiting Mumas already. The other way to unlock access for everyone in your fellowship is you get 1 point of cooperation for every 1 command of that unit that you hire from a camp out on the map. So since Miyuafa has hired 26 command worth of Amumas, we now have 26 of 1,000 cooperation for Mumakils. Once this reaches 1,000, people will be able to hire them through the employment hall regardless of anything else. And the third way to unlock them, which is how we have fell beasts, is there are now certain keeps that, in the past, they would unlock the ability for you to build a camp of your own next to your base, or just on some tile out on the map. Now, rather than unlocking a buildable map camp, they just immediately increase the cooperation of that unit by 1,000, which unlocks it. I will say that in many cases this is a nerf compared to the buildable camps, because the buildable camps didn't have a limit on how many that you could recruit. You could just recruit as many as you wanted. However, now there is a limit. So when you go to the higher screen, you will now have the option to recruit from a field camp. For example, I own a great beast pen, so I can recruit as many of these bad boys as I want. In this case, it would be 30 command of them. and it is not going to affect my daily conscription limit from the employment hall, which you can see up here. So field camps, you're still unlimited, costs gold and all of that good stuff, just like it used to, except for in Kings of Men, the units you have to build via camps don't. But just like the good old days, field camps, use them as much as you want, as much as gold allows. Employment hall, you can still recruit these guys. However, instead of being able to recruit as many as you want, it does have a limit, and it also costs fellowship contribution. Thankfully, fellowship contribution is like way easier to get now, so I wouldn't worry too much about that. I mean, it's only costing one contribution per command here. That is a very small price to pay. As long as you're an active player, you'll definitely have more contribution probably than gold. I mean, unless you're just like selling every single piece of equipment you ever get for gold, the contribution you shouldn't have to worry about. So, as a quick wrap up summary, fellowships build fellowship halls on 2x2 tiles, just like fortresses. Those allow fellowship members to recruit any eligible neutral unit that has been unlocked. They can be unlocked by inviting them, regardless of anything else, occupying a structure on the map, which gives you 1,000 cooperation, or your fellowship in total conscripting, recruiting, hiring, whatever you want to call it, 1,000 command worth of that unit. It will then show up in the employment hall for everybody else in the fellowship to conscript/hire. And the final piece to note is that you're limited to 60 command per day total. So if you're really banking on running crap tons of keepers on Gil or Elrond or somebody, you're probably not going to be able to do that through the employment hall. I do really like this mechanic overall because it gives you access to units that you would otherwise not have access to. Like in this season, we're just never going to get war drummers, right? Like the odds of us coming all the way over here for some war drummers are basically 0%. However, we can still get them. The one thing that I'm worried about is the fact that now everybody is like always going to have Dunlendings. So I feel like they should either remove that particular unit from the employment camp or change their bonus. Because if everybody always has Dunlendings, then nobody ever needs war anymore, which kind of like completely deletes the entire point of the war buff. Like, yeah, technically it's still going to be easier to do stuff with the war buff, but in the past, like there were things you could only do with a war buff, and now you're going to be able to do that with enough Dunlending. So I did want to throw that out there. The one downside of it, in my opinion, is the fact that Dunlendings can ignore war, and now everybody is just going to be able to ignore war all the time. So that should be wonderful. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about the employment hall down in the comments, and thank you for watching.